Giants Live World Tour Finals comes back to Scotland and the athletes have been announced. So we are back in Scotland for the World Tour Final. This is really becoming the Giants Live premier event. In terms of prize money, it's the biggest prize money Giants Live that there is. And the venue up in Scotland is kind of, the last 3 years, I think it's been there. Amazing crowd up in Scotland. And we do have the Stoltmans competing this year. They were missed last year, but they are back.
And the Stoltmans have really grown strongman in Scotland. I mean, we were there just a few weeks ago and it's crazy up there. You were like an A-list celebrity walking around. Anyone would think it was bloody Brad Pitt. But so you were recognised so much more up there, weren't you? And I do think that's thanks to the Stoltman brothers and how they've grown the sport.
It has to be. The popularity up in Scotland has grown so much. Obviously, those two are a huge part of that. And, the fans in Scotland are just really kind of,
passionate.
Yeah, they're passionate. They're very supportive, not just of the Scottish guys though. They support everyone, and they've got those like historic strength tests up in Scotland that mean so much to them as well. So they kind of really are understanding of these strength feats. So should we get into this list? It's a 13-man lineup for this year's competition,
and of course it's also the log lift championships at this competition. It'll be event number 1, but everyone on this list is doing the full competition as well as the log.
So we start off with Luke Stoltman. Luke has won this competition before a couple of years back. He is the first man on our list.
Then we have Tom Stoltman, who was very close to winning this competition in 2021. But of course, he had the very infamous stone mishap along with Evan Singleton.
Yeah, and he's looking in great shape again, isn't he?
Tom looks amazing. But let's not forget that we've got the Rogue Invitational the following week, which we'll go into more detail in a little bit.
We'll talk more about that later, yes. But they've been focused this year and Tom looks like he's hungry, which is always exciting. So next up, after a fantastic performance at the Strongman Classic, Eddie Williams is coming back. And Eddie didn't do that well in this competition last year, but we saw the progress that he made from competing in Scotland last year to the Strongman Classic on some very similar events. So I'm quite excited to see what he can do, particularly when we find out the final events of this comp.
Then we have the reigning world's strongest man, Mitch Hooper, who also won this competition last year. Now, I mean, Mitch is having one of the best years known to strongman history, obviously winning Worlds and Arnolds, but he's come third and second at his last 2 competitions, and this is going to be his first one back after a small break.
And that'll be upsetting him.
Oh, Mitch is highly competitive, so yeah, Mitch is going to come in all guns blazing.
Mitch is also another one, a bit like Tom and Luke, who have the Rogue Invitational a week after, so it's going to be interesting.
It is.
Next athlete up is Ian Bibby. Now, I'm always excited to see Ian Bibby. He looked a little bit upset with me last time we saw him because, he's not been able to perform as we would like to see Ian Bibby perform in competitions. But I'm glad to see him competing again.
Me too.
I want to see Ian Bibby. I love Ian Bibby, genuinely do. He's an amazing guy. But you can't just go on, what you did a few years ago. You've got to be in the competition. You've got to be proving that you're still at this standard. I hope we see Ian Bibby in shape. If he is in shape, he's an exciting athlete. And obviously with a log lift, he'll be looking forward to that.
Next up is the current Europe's strongest man, Pavlo Kordiaka, also known as Handsome Pavlo. Now, Pavlo has had an incredible year. Obviously, he won Europe's. He was 6th place at World's Strongest Man this year. He had a little bit of bad luck though with a small back injury, so this is going to be his first big competition back, and hopefully it will be a great return for Pavlo.
It should be, yeah. He's had a bit of a back issue that has kept him out of a few contests, so he wanted to give himself a good amount of time and prep properly, so always exciting to see Pavlo back in action. Now, someone I'm really excited to see at the Giants Live is Matt Ragg. He did so well at World's Strongest Man, obviously did really well at OSG last year, but this will be his first opportunity to come over to the UK, compete in front of a huge crowd. He's going to absolutely love it. Cannot wait to see what he can do.
And in a similar vein, we also have Tyler Cotton, who should have done a Giants Live last year because the year before he was on the podium at OSG. But unfortunately, just before this competition last year, he really smashed up his fingers. I saw the pictures and it was just terrible. But we saw him in Strongman Champions League England just a month or so ago. And really excited to see how Tyler can perform here. Second at America's Strongest Man as well last year. So definitely an athlete with pedigree.
Next, we have the Giants Live regular, former runner-up at Britain's Strongest Man, Para O'Dwyer.
Also competing here in the full show, we're going to have Graham Hicks. Now, Hicksy's goals, his life goals right now are to break the deadlift world record and the log lift world record, but he is also doing the full show. So really interesting to see how he trains for a humongous log, but also is conditioned for a fast-paced competition.
Yeah, I think when you talk to Hicksy right now, he seems to be enjoying life.
Yeah, he's happy.
His deadlift was awesome at the World Deadlift Championships. He said after that he was looking forward to getting some focus on the log, because obviously sometimes when you just focus on one lift for so long, it becomes overwhelming. So now he's looking forward to doing the full show and the log lift as well, and I'm sure he'll put something huge up. I know someone that you're going to look forward to seeing, Evans Nana. This guy has been a superstar revelation this year. We've seen him a number of times now, and it's so good to see him get another opportunity at a Giants Live. Cannot wait to see what he does in front of the Scottish crowd.
And another very exciting addition to this lineup is Luke Richardson. Now, Luke, of course, a former Europe's Strongest Man in 2020. They called him the future, and maybe that was a little bit of a curse because he had nothing but bad luck, injury after injury, but he's had some really he's really taken his time with his comeback, and I can't wait to see what Luke does here. Because, we all saw the potential, didn't we?
Well, as you say, so many people were talking about Luke as a potential winner of World's Strongest Man, and he really has been, hit pretty hard with some unfortunate injuries, but his training is looking really good. I know he's got the England's Strongest Man before this, so that'll be a nice warm-up for him. And I think, when Luke is in shape, he's a dangerous man, so cannot wait to see Luke competing in this one. And then finally, this man is becoming like a national treasure. Gav Bilton just recently got on the podium at the World Open. Amazing character, amazing strongman, keeps improving all the time. And you just can't help but enjoy watching him, can you?
Gav's just an absolute joy, to be honest. I don't know what else to say about Gav. He's a very sweet man.
You see Gav in a lineup and you just smile.
Yeah.
He's going to give 100%. Can't wait to see how Gav does in this one.
So we don't have the events yet, but I want to talk about the fact that the Rogue Invitational is on the week after and how we think that's going to change things possibly. But there's 3 athletes doing both competitions. However, 2 of them certainly, I would say, are going to come in as heavy favourites because they're the 2 most recent World's Strongest Men. Mitch and Tom.
2 of them, you would say.
Luke, who's won this competition.
Well, Luke has won this competition before, but Luke, in terms of performance the last year or so, you can't compare him to Tom and Mitch.
No,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's fair.
And that's not big. Luke is still an amazing strongman. But Tom and Mitch, when you look at their more recent performances, they are constantly, up there with the best in the world. Obviously, between them, they've won the last 3 World's Strongest Man titles, 2nd and 3rd at the Shaw Classic this year. Obviously, Hooper is the Arnold winner. Mm-hmm. So, they're guys that are kind of constantly on podiums. For me, I would think both are going to sort of be thinking more on the Rogue Invitational, because the Rogue Invitational is seen as one of those major shows, and it's huge prize money at the Rogue Invitational.
Massive.
But this is a good payday as well.
But also, I'm not even thinking of that. I'm thinking they really want to beat each other.
They do.
Mitch wants to win. He just really wants to win. Tom absolutely wants to win this competition in Scotland when he should have won it in 2021.
When you look at their training at the moment, you'll see one of them does a lift and then the other one's trying to one-up him in terms of the same lift. And I've seen it a few times now. It's quite funny. Yeah. So they're obviously keeping an eye on each other.
They are.
They are very similar in terms of age, abilities. They're both incredible athletes, and I look forward to a number of battles between them. But whoever's going to win this one is going to have a mental advantage going into the Rogue Invitational as well.
Absolutely. And I can't see either of them coming here and not working hard for the reasons that we've explained. So no matter what, you're going to be tired, aren't you? So you may as well try and win it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think in terms of recovery, it probably suits Mitch a little bit better. He seems to just have a ridiculous ability to recover. We've seen that many, many times. But he's also going to have more travelling. It's only one lot of travelling for Tom, whereas Mitch is going to come to the UK, back to Canada, then to America. It's a lot to do within basically 6 days.
I wouldn't bother going back to Canada personally, because it's literally like the athletes will start arriving about Wednesday or Thursday. Mitch, do not go back to Canada.
But it's going to be, we still don't know the events of this one, so we can't kind of put predictions out there. The events might come up and we might suddenly think, Graham Hicks is the favourite.
Evans Nana. together.
Yeah, you just don't know until the events are out
No.
there. But I think on paper, most people are going to be looking at Tom. They're going to be looking at Mitch Hooper. And then if Luke can kind of get himself in top shape. You know, we're starting to see glimpses from Luke. And then at the moment, there's just one event that seems to be going badly for him. I mean, you know, and events that he's normally good at. Obviously, we've had the mishaps with the log in certain competitions. When we watched him in Cardiff last week, he was looking really solid. And then it was a stones mishap. We've seen those stones with, well, we've seen it with Novikov, we've seen it with Mitch Hooper, and last week with Luke Stoltman as well. I don't think there's any issue with the actual stones. I know there's because
it's a tacky issue.
Yeah, and when you look at the athletes that have kind of done these stones, half the competition is putting them up no problem at all.
But do you know what's weird? It's always on the final pairing.
Do you know what I think it is?
A build-up of tacky and the heat.
Yes.
Yes,
It's the
making
heat
it
within
slippy.
these arenas
Yes.
that seems to be causing an issue, and it tends to be guys, not always, but tends to be more of the guys that don't wear sleeves.
Should Giants Live have a spare set of stones that they roll out halfway through so
Do you know
no one's getting like a poorer conditioned stone than another? I'm being serious. If I was an athlete, these are the demands I would be making.
I think athletes should be able to go and look at the last stone and just kind of like touch it and see if it feels okay, and then, you know, ask maybe to have something cleaned off of it. But I don't think we need a spare set of stones at all. You know, I do think the athletes should be allowed to just, okay, can I just touch the last stone? Feels good. And then there's no complaints. The problem is these arenas get really hot and sweaty. Or the athletes, get really sweaty.
Especially people like
And
Luke.
then you think of that kind of sweat and the tacky. It starts to kind of, it doesn't stick then, and then that causes problems. And you know, that's all it is. It's a technical malfunction. It's not a strength issue. We know these guys are strong enough to lift.
But if a stone is physically slippery or something like that, then it's...
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
much
as an
harder.
athlete, you have to go up to it, and it's your responsibility.
Yeah.
You shouldn't kind of... Because if we take the last competition, most of the guys put all the stones up.
You know what, we're talking a lot about stones, but we don't know that they're actually an event, because last year they had the power stairs.
Well,
they
this
didn't
is true.
have stones.
You know, we could be having this conversation.
Oh, do you know what would be great in Scotland? Natural stones.
There
A
we go.
natural stone run, or over like a hitching
Giants
post.
Live, make it happen.
You just have to go and collect some. It's really easy. And then other guys go one at a time. Don't
Definitely.
steal anything historic.
Right, do you want to let people know where it is, where they can watch, and where they can get tickets from?
So the competition takes place on the 21st of October at the OVO Hydro Arena in Glasgow. Now, there are still some tickets available, but the last two Giants Lives this year have been complete sellouts. So if you're wanting to go but haven't bought your ticket yet, I would not leave it too late. If you do leave it too late, though, it will of course be live streamed on officialstrongman.com.
As always, guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.